tool if it's too difficult. But just to save you time, I'm gonna have you hopefully train you guys on always keeping your looper tool in your non-dominant hand. I'm right-handed, that's my left. My left-hander, that's your right. So with non-dominant hand, it's always on my pinky, okay? So sectioning, I'm just gonna go over. So you're gonna start in the center in the back. I did mention to them that this is gonna go a little bit quicker because the rest of the day is gonna be less, okay? So we're just gonna put in a few. So you're gonna drop down coarse dense hair, 1/8 of an inch, medium dense hair, 1/4 of an inch, which we're gonna do today, and then 1/2 an inch for fine fragile hair. Now it's the same.
Alright guys, this is the second and last day of the certification class for the Bellamy hair extensions, and I got there a little late on the second day because I got lost on the way from the hotel to the location. It's something about the GPS, I'm always thinking I'm going the right way and then it recalculates and then I end up going down the wrong spot. But made it to class just in time to get most of the lesson in, as well as the hands-on training. And yeah, like it was so much fun. If you are thinking of getting certified with hair extensions, like I can't think of any other brand out there better than Bellamy. Just they've been around for a long, long time. They have their system down, and the training is amazing. The products are amazing, both like the tools and the hair itself, like really high quality stuff. So definitely consider them for your number one choice if you are thinking of becoming certified. And I believe in this section we're working with some eye tips. I thought eye tips were gonna be very easy. And don't get me wrong, they're fairly easy if like you're a hairstylist and you work with hair, but they're actually a little bit trickier than the keratin tips. So it was just something that I was a little bit surprised, just because of like, I don't know, I just thought you were just sliding it in there, but getting the hair to stay in place with the bead and then adding the extension in, it does take a little bit of skill. So definitely gonna be rehearsing that or practicing that a little bit more.
Oh,
Oh, happy
how old
birthday
are
to
you?
you.
43.
Okay.
Yeah, 43. Yeah, we're not that far apart. Yeah. And she's like, only one of his gifts came in. I was like, oh no, I forgot. I was checking Poshmark, you know, the Poshmark thing. And she was on vacation, so she couldn't send it. I didn't realize. She was like, sorry, it's coming. Anywho, okay. Before we get into the specs, this is not in your books. This is an add-on, so please, I definitely suggest for you to take a picture. Has anyone, or actually which webs, if you have you played with so far? Or any, not any?
I think it might have been like the hand tied.
The hand tie? Okay.
EHP also has, Easy Hair Pro has like the micro weft, or
Oh,
really,
is it the Genie? Is it called the Genius? Or?
yes, the Genius
Okay.
weft, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you've already kind of played with the slimmer bands. They're both slimmer bands. So I'm gonna get into the specs of each one and go more in depth. This one I do kind of do a little bit more theory on because it's just kind of confusing if I don't. So I like to kind of do a little theory and we'll go way more in depth again after. So first we're gonna install, we're gonna install the Infinity Wefts first, and then we're gonna do the Flex Weft. okay? So the volume and the flex left are the most identical. They're not identical, but they're the most comparable, identical to the infinity.
And right here, she was just going over some information about the wefts, which was the next thing that we're gonna be practicing on how to install. And this is actually quite fun. Like, I love wefts. They're a lot of fun to install. Um, and it's just like amazing what you can do with just like 1 to 2 rows or even 3 rows of wefts in your hair. Like, you'd be amazed at the results.
Remember, Auntie, don't touch my back. I'm like, okay, I'm shaping it. Okay. Alrighty, this is where I love to say, don't kill the messenger, okay? But everything I have literally taught you about over-direction is going to go out the window. Throw it out the window, just for this. So with all the other methods, the methods fall, the extension falls below the point of attachment, right? So the weight of the extension falls below the point of attachment. This actually falls above the point of attachment. So therefore, we need that over direction to support the weight of the weft, okay? So I want you guys to think of the sectioning as a rectangular box, okay? There's a square box, and then there's a rectangular. The rectangular is long, right? And it's like a rectangular box. That's how your section is gonna be, okay? Throw the U shape out the window, throw the over direction out the window, but still we don't want elevation, we don't want crosshairs, all of that fun stuff. So we're still gonna drop 1/4 of an inch. If you need to, you can, in this case, depending on your doll head, if it's a little thicker, you can drop down 1/8 of an inch only, okay? But don't drop down to 1/2 inch. It's way too long. But so if you have finer, denser hair, what do you think you're gonna do with the rectangular box? Wider, yeah. So in this case, we do go wider, okay? Also, I know that you haven't done the stitching yet, or maybe you have on your own, so you kind of can get it. But just in case if you haven't, guys, if you're only gonna make your threading and your stitching harder if you don't make enough of a wide box, okay? Because we actually pass through those outside boxes. You'll see what I mean later, but you're only gonna make it harder for yourself if you don't go wide enough. But then there's also a fine line, you don't wanna go too wide. So I'm gonna start in the center in the back. I'm gonna drop down. I'm gonna still gauge the 1/4 of an inch. Now, how do you gauge how wide it is? Because you don't want it to be too wide. You're gonna take the bead and you're gonna place your finger right underneath point of attachment. Then you're gonna put it in the center. You want an even amount of hair exposed on each side. Let's just say 1/4 of an inch since we've been working. Again, that could waver on a guest, okay? But that's a little too wide for me, right? So, I'm just gonna knock it off. This looks better to me. Let's do a little more. So I'm gonna do the same movements. This is why I was like, let's get the movements down. Pinch at the root, grab, pinch at the root, over direct up, and then shimmy this bead up. Now also notice, do you guys wanna come a little closer, you think? So I also need, you want this bead to be in the center. You don't want it to be on the left. You don't want it to be on the right. You want it to be nice and centered and not elevated. So this actually is like, think of a little bit off base, but not on base. So you're gonna do one soft pinch and then a hard pinch on the side. Now we do stitch these side by side. So let me go this way, Felicia. So they do sit side by side. So I'm just going to gauge, see how it's just nice and straight at the bottom. No U. So I'm gonna pull over, direct up. And where do I have my bead? In the center, okay? One and hard. Okay, I'm gonna do a wrong one. Do you think this is too small, right? Do you think this is too big? So I'm gonna get a little bit on that fine line. I'm gonna go up to the root. I'm not gonna drag. Remember, we already saw if we put our fingers too low. But look at what I do, because I'm like thinking from before. That is way too low, right? That's gonna be already too heavy. Also, because I said on base. Doesn't this look like it already hurts?
Yes.
Then especially when you lay a weft on top of that, it's gonna pop out. Okay, so I don't take time away from you guys. I have this one. I have to make it cleaner, like the section, like the hair on top. But this is essentially, and if you guys need to come up here for reference point, please do so. I'll make this cleaner after. But this is how the end result you want it to be. Now, I went a little shorter, just again, because I have to finish the stitching. Again, I don't want to take that away from you. You guys have yours is correct. I just go shorter, so I don't do as many stitching and take that time away from you guys, and I can help you guys. So yours will be a little bit closer. But say that I did all of this and I tucked it away, once you start getting to around like the ear, I need you guys to take a step back and gauge on like, can I fit 3 or can I fit 2? Because you never want to be like, well, I'll just change the sectioning. And that means you're gonna go closer to the hairline, and this is closer and this is further back, it's uneven. So gauge first. Now I also have been asked like, well, can I start the bead here and work around? Yes, you can, you actually can. But I want you to practice in the center and start to gauge there for today's class, okay? Because that's like the Bellamy, what they suggest, and that's the Bellamy way. So center, once you gauge back here, right here, see how many beads you can get using the section. It might be 2, it may be 3. Okay, every head shape is different, every doll head's different. So let's go ahead and set our foundation. Especially when we start stacking and you use either the flex and the volume wax. It's just a lot more sturdier. And then you'll also see when we start doing the stitching, how useful the double thread is. So I'm gonna like turn around because I want you guys, we're gonna do it together. I want you guys to mirror me. You're gonna hold it with your dominant hand. So with the left hand, you hold it with your left. So I'm just gonna get you 2 fingers on my non-dominant hand. We're gonna all do it together. And you take your 2 fingers, and you're basically gonna loop it over. So I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna loop it over and pinch the longer part of the thread again. So it's a circle. I'm gonna do that one more time. I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna loop it over and then pinch the longer part of the thread. Okay? You're gonna twist it 3 times. We're gonna do it 1 turn, 2 turn, 3 turns. Now I'm gonna detach the tail ends and I'm gonna pinch, you guys see that? And pull through the circle. That's all I'm doing. Pinch and pull through the circle and tie it. That it is long. So I'm gonna measure. How you measure is important. How you measure is, see this bead and then the hair, the over direction hair on the outside? That's where you wanna measure. Don't measure from the bead. You wanna measure from the hair on the outside, okay? So I'm gonna hold, okay? And how this is also important because if you go up here, that's too high and it's gonna fall too short once you start stitching. If you go too low, that means it's gonna be super long and you maybe just wasted some weft that you needed at the end. So you wanna go here and right over, little to no tension, right above the bead, right above the bead. And then once you get to the other side, you drop and then you cut. Now there's 2 ways, because you're gonna do 2, so you're gonna do 1 and then 2. There's 2 ways that you could do this. I've seen both, it's your preference. You can take the longer part again of the infinity weft and measure and cut, or you can measure with your existing one that you just cut. There's no wrong answer, okay? Also, once you're done, we're gonna pin. So I personally, and I'm gonna suggest this in the beginning, I do 1 by 1. I don't try to do 2 because I think it's too flimsy. You may like to do 2, but let's just do 1 on 1 here. So I'm gonna pin, again, rematch to the outside. How you pin, there's no wrong way, it's a preference. I like to do horizontal, vertical, I need to get more, sorry. Horizontal, and then vertical again. The other one. That is my preference. You can do all horizontal or all vertical. It's whatever you desire. So there you go. Now I'm gonna take my second one and place it on top. Again, you could do both at a time. I just think it's a little bit more secure and you get to practice a little bit. So you measure again and all you do is just remove like so, okay? I hold like so, like so. Honestly guys, this is why I like more clips because I would actually
just add more.
Yeah. Thanks, yeah. I'll just add more. But you guys don't have it, so just that's how you're gonna remove it. So let's go ahead and do that, and then we'll take lunch.
Okay, and here we are getting our hair weft ready for installation. And I always think of like my mom when I do this method just because she does a lot of sewing. And then we had a nice little lunch break. They provided lunch both days, so that was lovely of them, not having to worry about, you know, meals for the day.
Just so I can show you, but this is not, you're stitching with the hair, okay? But I'm just gonna show you where I passed the needle. But I'm gonna change up my verbiage. See how I mentioned that all of this hair on the right side of the bead, all of this hair on the left side of the bead, I called it over direction. I'm gonna switch that verbiage and call them pockets. So it's pockets of hair. So this is the first bead, right pocket of hair, first bead, left pocket of hair, second bead, right pocket, second bead, left, third right pocket, third left pocket. So that's how I'm gonna refer to that over direction of hair. So I want to start 3 pockets in. On my right side, where is that? 3 pockets in.
Okay, and then there she was explaining everything we needed to know. Then we got to practice. That was pretty much the entire time her work. She did some wonderful demonstrations and teaching. So then we can go and practice, and then she could go ahead and guide us to make sure that like we were doing it properly as well, one on one. I do want to apologize about the current screen. I am definitely still learning this whole recording aspect of my job just because I'm not used to recording, and that was probably not a good spot to place the camera. But hey, like you can see me working out now, working on the hair. Um, but yeah, like I promise to get better with the camera.
You guys, especially in the beginning, if you want to measure at least a little bit longer for the infinity wax, I'd rather you do that when you set your foundation. I did see, I think, a couple that are too short a little bit. So I would rather have it just a little bit longer, not a lot, because I don't want you to waste it, but just a little bit longer versus it, because you can just snip it off versus it too short, okay? So what stitch was the very first stitch that we learned? What was it called again, if anyone can remember? Yeah, lock stitch. So that's what we're gonna do. So we are gonna, we ended at the corner with a closed blanket stitch, and we're gonna start in the corner with the lock stitch. But this time we're gonna walk ourselves inwards, okay? So we're gonna do our first lock stitch on the outside pocket of hair, basically where we ended. Don't overthink that, and then me to do it once. So I'm gonna do that, then I'm gonna do the finisher and tie off. Once everyone has done that, I'm gonna have you guys come back up. I'll show you the move up and the removal. You'll do the removal. We'll pack up at the end. You know how I always like to do that at the end, okay? And then we'll continue with the rest of the class. We still got a couple more steps to go over. So remember, we are gonna pierce the top of the seam of the weft, okay? So we're not going under it anymore. We're gonna pierce, oops, I think I need one more stitch, sorry guys. So we are going to pierce the actual top of the seam of the weft, okay? So I'm gonna go on the outside pocket of hair, and I'm going to pierce the back of the seam of the weft. Just like how we did on the opposite side. Guide, 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 up. See how it's on the top now? Because it's the top of the seam of the weft. Then I'm going to twist and turn. My needle up, and then please don't overthink this. Remember, you just twist and turn. Shift everything to the left, because now we want that anchor on the left side, right? Okay, and I'm just gonna guide like so, right on that top seam, on the side of the seam, sorry. See? Right there. Okay, you guys see that? So now I am going to do one more stitch only on the top of the seam of the weft. Because remember when we had it outside the doll head and you just did that one pierce? We're gonna do that, but now it's attached. So I'm not going through any pockets of hair, okay? So see, I'm just piercing the back of the seam of the weft, get that extra stitch. We just want that extra stitch. Now I'm gonna do the tie off. So I'm only going in the back of the seam of the weft again, no pockets of hair. Now I'm gonna do the same one as we did with infinity weft, going around with the needle, pull, 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 and then I'm gonna drag under because I feel like that's a lot going on up there. See that knot? Now I'm going to snip. And then what do I do next?
You tie off.
3 shoelace ties, yeah. 3 shoelace ties. You guys are more than welcome to do 2 anchor stitch. I'm gonna tell you though, because again, this has been the nylon thread has been manipulated several times. It is gonna be extra hard. So don't get too frustrated if you wanna do it twice. And then I snip, and then you're done. Oops, I snipped some of the hair off, it's okay. It's only a doll head. Okay, so this is how you end. So let's go ahead and do that.
All right, we're pretty much at the end of the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you stayed till this part of the video, I know it was a little bit of a longer video, but thank you so much for watching. Um, this is me just removing the thread, and these are the little swag bags that we got gifted at the end of the class. It had a lot of cool little things in there, and I'll be posting a video later on about that. Karen ended up bringing some champagne to celebrate that we had finalized the class. And yeah, Like, we had a great time, met so many wonderful people, and can't wait to keep doing this in the future. All right, guys, take care. Please make sure to like and subscribe.